Welcome, people of the World Wide Web. So it is Chris from Cypher Sigma Screen Time here. Yes, and this is my fortnightly What Have I Been Watching. So if you're new, if you've not come across this, I've been doing this for a fair few years. This is essentially everything physical media or streaming that I've been watching. I do not cover cinema films because that's done on a weekend or something. So I have this and I have a few streaming ones. So done in reverse order. So I do it as I've watched them initially. So I have to go back. So let's get going. So we have two series, but I'll leave those to the end. We'll do it separately. So first off, we have the movies. So obviously this is a few weeks behind. Obviously it was October when I was watching these. Obviously Halloween come up. So I had Rob Zombie's version in here, 2016, something like that, 2007. Oh, I was completely out. Of this, I couldn't remember it, so I put it on because I quite like Rob Zombie, but big heavy metal fan back in the day. Realised I had seen it, but still watched it through. Really, actually, quite enjoyed it. Obviously, it's a very interesting adaptation of it. I think Tyler, the guy who played Sabretooth in the first X-Men movie, I thought he was really good. I thought the kid was quite demonic. The whole process of what Rob Zombie went through, and of how he the kid is kind of very much like it is. From the first Halloween, you kind of see Michael Myers as an adult, whereas this kind of allowed him to instill in his family, and you could see from his upbringing and a few bits of why he was like a little bit how he is. Obviously, he probably had other issues, which is why he gets put in the thing. But obviously, him escaping and stuff like this, I felt a bit bad when Machete gets killed, Danny Trejo, that was, he's trying to help him, but it just goes to show to his kind of mindset that he is just kind of a killer, and that's, he doesn't really see right or wrong. He's just anybody he doesn't like, that's it. Which is kind of the killer. He is not necessarily superhuman in this, but obviously his build and stuff like that is what makes him kind of very empowering, so to speak, within this. So next up, a blast from the past that I wanted to watch was Future Sport. Big fan of Dean Cain, his acting career, his personal views, that is completely something separate aside. The cover's obviously seen better days. I think this was a proper car boot from back in the day. But obviously because it was Dean Cain, I really enjoyed this. I quite like the whole, it's very much 90s sci-fi, like if you watch TV series like Babylon 5 and stuff like this, you can kind of get, there is a little bit of a connection. I enjoyed it. I thought it was well done. I liked a few of the connections and, all the characters and Wesley Snipes and something like this. To be honest, this would be this would be a movie that I'd actually really love to see rebooted, and when I say rebooted, essentially take the core design of this, of like a sports person reinventing themselves in the future, taking that premise and then putting it in something else. Doesn't have to be future sport, but something like this I think would work really well, and we haven't had something like this in a while. If I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments below. I'll look forward to looking out any of those. So that is 2. So as you've seen on previous episodes, me and my wife finished Coupling season 3. The last one, which obviously stars Richard Cole, that decided to leave to get typecast. Great episode, great series. A bit hesitant. Apologies, I've got 2 dogs with me, so a bit hesitant to watch season 4. Because obviously it's not got Jeff in or something, but I do want to finish it. It's a shame because this was a great series, and if Jeff had stayed on and with Stephen Moffat, I think it would have been really, really good. But all things have to come to an end, and it is what it is. Great British comedy. So next up, going through stuff I've started to, I have a big watch list, as you've known, I have my Purge and something for this year. And I've started to, with that Purge, has kind of get me in a mindset. So something that will come next year is that when I watch stuff now, when I've watched all the movies that I have, I'm going to have series as a bit more focused, which I've been trying to do complete series and watch series this year, which I'm slowly getting through, but it's quite a daunting task sometimes. But then I'm going to revisit a lot of movies from my shelves. I may do videos where I go through each shelf and pick a load of movies to rewatch. The reason then, because I'm starting to rewatch older movies, and there's some of them that I don't have the joy that I had with, and they are going to start to be purge from the series, but I'm going to kind of do it as a week by week basis of probably like, here's a video, go through lists, pick out like 10 films or whatever films, and then watch them at some point, and then go, actually, out of those 10, I'm only going to keep 5, and kind of downsize a little bit of the collection. I think I have so much, and as getting older and future stuff, I think to downsize a bit, and as I've done before, to make way for a few more toy areas, I think would be the way to go forward. But who knows, that could change from now, because obviously it's only in November. But yeah, I've seen Dick Tracy. So remember this movie, and obviously Warren Beatty keeps the rights to it by keep making the little movies that he does. I quite enjoyed the gangster movie and stuff like this. Very far-fetched. Obviously, unfortunately, knowing who the blank is ruins the movie a little bit, but I do enjoy it for what it is. It's a nice kind of turn your brain off, sit there and watch it for like an hour and 40 minutes, and stuff like this. Yeah, I say, like, even like, I've never been a fan of the comics, never really read the comics or anything else, so this is my only kind of intake, so to speak, of this character, and that's happy enough. It's enjoyable enough. I'd say I could happily watch it again and again, and I wouldn't really get bored. I quite like the prosthetics, seeing the different characters and stuff like this. It very much reminds me of I like prosthetic work, and when you watch newer movies like Lord of the Rings and stuff, and they have the same sort of thing, it's, this is almost not necessarily lost art, but it's not necessarily done as often as it should do, and I think. Then we have the 8th series of The Flash, so the penultimate one. Very interesting. It's very much because I've come in 7, 8, and 9 are the ones I've needed to watch. It very much feels like there is not as much cohesion. For me, Iris West is getting just a little bit annoying, and I think is in it too much, just personal me. Everyone having superpowers and stuff like this, the whole Frost, Caitlin and stuff like this. Why Frost and Caitlin's enough, and then obviously there's more stuff to come of that, I know, because I've watched 9, but that will be in the next video, because I'm just very delayed of watching this. Again, he is a very, very good Flash. I like some of the stuff he does. Some of the animation scenes or the CG scenes are really, really good. Obviously, including the fight Armageddon and stuff like that, I didn't mind bits. But again, it recycles so much of the, like, oh, it's a different Flash, it's a different Flash, it's a different Flash. I know it's Flash and stuff. I always find the Rogues far better, and obviously in the later series 9, when they start to use them, I think it's much better than just another speedster. But enjoyed it for what it was, and I do like Chilblain. I think he was quite a good addition to it, and obviously Hartley, obviously leaving it because of personal tweets and stuff, I think was a bit of a shame, but obviously they've written him out as they've done. So next up was one I went to, had a family gathering, and my aunt and uncle gave me back this because I lent them to it probably the best part of 10 years ago. So I rewatched this, actually really, really enjoyed it. Didn't realise that these two actually became a couple. Obviously won an Oscar for the song. It's a great little story. It's all about connection and music. And obviously it doesn't necessarily lead to where you suspect it's going to lead to, but it is still nice to travel down this very raw journey. Obviously made on quite a shoestring budget and stuff, but really, really enjoyable. And I say the music's very nice, a little bit different to standardized music that's in films. But I really enjoyed this. I recommend it. I think it was a stage show or made into a stage show at some point. So next up, we have The Brothers Solomon. So this is a comedy where these two brothers are grown up. They are a little bit unusual, so to speak, and they find this lady to have their baby. There's comedy bits. There's some bits that land, some bits that don't really land. It's very samey. I didn't enjoy it at first. I started to enjoy it, and then you could kind of see where everything was going, and it was all right. It's very silly. It kind of reminds me of Stuck on You, which I think is one that, yeah, you watch it, it's quite funny the first time, and then over time you're like, yeah, it's all right. This will not be staying in the collection, unfortunately. This is one of my 29 to rewatch from The Purge. It was enjoyable. It's not something I would really go back to or want to go back to. It's very much of, you don't really have to think about it. And if I'm not going to pay attention, it's not. Next up was a recent purchase that I picked up. So this is Gridman. I picked from CX. Unfortunately, really enjoyed this. A big fan of Gridman back in the day, or what was Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad, the Sentai adaptive series by Saban in the 90s. I like the fact that they've kind of taken the core design of Gridman. He does pop in oneness. It does turn up in this. Sorry, this is an interesting short story of where you have this young kid. He has amnesia, but he is Gridman, and his friends help out, and you've got these kaijus that certain people can see, and people disappear. And then when you realise what's going on, I thought was very clever, very much linked to the core concept of what Gridman is. I know they did a universe film. It was on Crunchyroll. It's subtitled. It's not it's subtitled because it's not dubbed. They didn't do a dubbed version, so I do have to watch that at some point. And they never did a physical media release. But really enjoyed this. Obviously, if you're a big fan of that. Next up is Slumdog Millionaire. So again, one of my 29 to rewatch. Haven't seen it before. Didn't know what it was about. Obviously, watched it. I enjoyed it for what it was. Wasn't exactly what I was expecting. Obviously, it is Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, but there's a lot of torture and stuff. I far preferred Dev Patel in Lion. I thought Lion was a more powerful story than this. For this, I enjoyed it, but not to the point. There were points that it's features aspects that you don't really want to. It's like kids being blinded and that to be beggars and stuff like this. And yes, that could be a reality, but it's not something I want to actively go back and rewatch. Lion is a little bit different, where kids are essentially abused, but it is done in a different way. And I say in the way probably it's filmed and stuff like this, that you see it to one section, but it's only a small bit. Whereas this, the recurring thing keeps coming back. And I think that's what discourages. So this will also leave the collection. I've watched it. Danny Boyle did well. I can see why it won the awards. It's not something that I would want to go. The story is clever of how he wins it, but it's rewatchability is 0 for me. The Boat That Rocked. So this is one my wife talked about. She kept saying we've seen it. We haven't seen it. She watched it with someone else. Finally got round to watching it. I actually thoroughly enjoyed this film. Not my typical sort of film. The main guy in it is obviously plays the Sandman, if in that TV series, which I was like, a lot of famous people turn up. And it's quite funny of how the route they go down. Obviously, this is based on real life and rock music stuff, which I'm a fan. Obviously, some of the music has got stuck in my head. I'm very much on the fence of this, so I'm going to keep this in the collection for now. Just because I did enjoy it. I probably would rewatch it, but I don't think I'll rewatch it in a while. So I will keep it there because knowing me, I'll get rid of it and then struggle to find a copy of it, which will just be a big pain in the backside. So next up is another one, so Suburbicon. This is basically a small suburb town where they're kind of governed by gangsters and stuff like this. Matt Damon is kind of paid these people to do something for him. And then it kind of backfires a little bit. His son is involved. It gets very weird in places. Like there were bits when I watched the trailer, he's riding a little unicycle I found funny. Watching the film now, I was like, yeah, the novelty of that trailer kind of worn off, and watching it is like, I'm never going to rewatch this again. It's a very weird across the way. I think it's the Coens that have done this, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, it doesn't say, or maybe not. It's very much got a kind of, I know it's George Clooney directed this. Yeah, not my cup of tea. Glad I've watched it. Leaves the collection. So we go on. Dirty Shame. I've been holding off on watching this because I remember watching this back in the day and find it really funny. Essentially, it's about sex addiction. As you can tell, this Johnny Knoxville kind of has the gift that he gifts to people, and then kind of you have this local town that feel this is very shock. It's not funny in the slightest. I found it hilarious back in the day. Now I'm older, I just didn't find anything funny. Some of it ridiculous, or not necessarily obscene. There's Chris Isaac in there and stuff like that, but there are just for me, it just did not work. And I watched it and I was just like, how did I even like this back in the day? So that's, will be going in the discard pile. You can see I've got a running theme here. And then we have the final one of gold. So this is one got a few. There's some Murder, two Matthew McConaughey films I've been wanting to watch for ages. Obviously, this is about a man. His dad's company mine stuff. He runs a bit low on his down on his luck. He finds this guy. They kind of invest in a company to find this mine that he believes is gold that they've been finding. Due to a malaria and stuff like that, he ends up finding gold. You know, he goes back, he makes it, winning his mine of the year, and then it turns out he's actually been scammed. The government all over him. The company will go under, and then there's a little twist at the end. And the twist in the end was nice, but it's one I'm not going to go back. I enjoy that I've seen it. The trailer was quite around. I did plug it quite a lot, and I did think, you know, Matthew McConaughey. I think this was where he started to be a little bit more of a serious actor. That was good. But as I say, it's something that I'm never going to go back to. So that's 5 that essentially I leave in the collection. And then we have 2 series. So first we have Lazarus. I believe this is on Amazon Prime. So this is starring Bill Nighy. He is and Sam Fennick, if it's from the Hunger Games and stuff like that. The guy with the lance was also in the Emma Lee Clark movie where he's a quadriplegic. Essentially, he's his son. His sister was killed when he was a kid. His dad's a kind of psychiatrist. He grows up kind of being a little bit like his dad. And then when his dad passes, he kind of starts to relive certain instances, and it's him trying to make sense of what happened. And there's a big conspiracy, and his kind of friend's a police officer, and his sister, one of his sisters, is still around, and they're trying to make sense of it all. And it's very cleverly done. It's done in a way that you are made to believe that he kind of, in his dad's office, he revisits past events. There's actually another nod to that, and I'm not going to tell you what that is, but it is very clever the way it's done, the way the story all links together, and it's very interesting of where, like, his dad puts criminals, serial killers away, and then his son follows in his footsteps, and then there's just, you know, stuff that happens and has happened that he didn't know. It's kind of linked to why his sister was killed in the first place that he doesn't know. And it's very good. Me and my wife both really liked it. I would definitely recommend it. That's Lazarus. I think it's on Amazon Prime. And then the next one is a double series that we watched on Netflix called The Jury. So it's a bit of a 2 series. Each series there's a set of jurors and they have a case. The first one is a young Indian lad is believed to have killed somebody, a person that was being bullied, and basically he is then arrested, and they suspect that the jury are brought together. Just to remind, I almost got the first and series second. It's got Gerard Butler in it as one as the jurors, and you have these jurors that come together, and it's all how they do it. There's a lot of things they end up doing that you shouldn't do in court cases, but it's still interesting to see people getting involved, and could he have done this, could he have done that. Essentially, these stories, both series, are set on the jury make their decision on what they feel, and that is the verdict. You never get to see the actual events. You get the actors acting out scenes on screen. So it's like when the lad, he stabbed the person, he ran through this park, he dumped his clothes. You see a picture of him running through his field. You see a picture of him dumping his clothes, because that's what they suspect has happened, but you never get told if it is, which is a bit of a shame to never know at the end of it. And I think that's probably why the second series then dropped, because you never found out what had happened. But yeah, you have this lad and you have his, and then the second one is a bloke. He's up for a retrial because he went on some dating sites and stuff. He met with 3 women, and unfortunately all these women went missing, and the third one was basically killed, and he was the one in close proximity due to specific reasons that this was deemed a mistrial and retried again. And this is where you meet the people on this retrial. There's people involved in this person's life that then interact with the jury, which is still interesting. It's still an interesting watch, and it's still interesting to know what result. You're kind of sitting there going, well, did he or didn't he, or could he have done this or could he have done that? And you're like, well, if I was a juror, I'd want to do this, but you're not allowed to do this. And it's like, it's very, very stimulating when it comes to the jury process. I really like Runaway Jury. Is it 13 Good Men or something like that? That's, movies that are about jurors and interesting cases, I think, are really, really good. It's interesting to see the people's opinions and how stuff goes. But that was very, very good as well. Only 2 series, both are on. I think it's like a BBC or ITV, but it's on Netflix. But that has been a roundup of what I have been watching. Very interesting stuff. As I say, if you come across anything in this list that you disagree with me, please do let me know. If there is something, as you see, I watch a wide array of more or less everything and anything. Do let me know. Say, have you seen this film? I think it'd be interesting, and I'll keep an eye out to look to buy it and then to watch it. But otherwise, if you're new to the channel, like I said, I've got lots of videos and stuff. Please do click that subscribe button. It does help me out a lot to build this channel. Obviously, people like listening to my voice. My wife doesn't. I think most married people can understand that. But otherwise, that's only a joke. But yeah, otherwise, I've been Chris from Sigma Screen Time. Hope you're having a great week. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll definitely see you in the next one.